This is Freddy Fazbear, a popular character in the famous video game series Five Nights at Freddy's. This game has made a huge impact on internet culture as well as the horror game genre as a whole, but why? Five Nights at Freddy's, also commonly known as Fnaf, is one of the most influential indie horror games in the past decade. From its noble beginnings with unique gameplay and little story.
What's up everybody, it's Critical. I'm playing Five Nights at Freddy's for the PC. Let's do this shit.
It's now a successful franchise boasting merchandise, toys, and books, with many theorists online speculating the actual lore behind the games. While many have indeed put together many timelines of events from the video games and books, it might come as a surprise to people unfamiliar with the franchise that no one actually knows what the games are about for certain. Even the most minor details in the game, such as a character's name, are heavily debated and have to be put together through many difficult clues. And while the timeline of the game's lore is fascinating, one of the reasons why the game even succeeded at all is the horror that stems from the main mechanics of the first game, with the later games in the series copying the same format with some exceptions. For today's video, we will be covering the first game and its competition at the time. To explain what makes the game scary, we must first take a look at the mechanics of the game. See, other popular horror games at the time, like the then popular Slender Man, were a free roam game. Oh god, okay! Where you had to run away from a monster while trying to look for items like notes. These types of games polluted the horror genre, and while it was able to give you adrenaline while running away from a monster, the structure of Five Nights at Freddy's is a stark difference. You can't run away, you can't hide, and while you may think you are safe, you most certainly are not. The only thing that you are able to do is monitor the cameras that watch the deadly horror animatronics. As you watch the animatronics get closer and closer to the office you are hiding in, your only way of defending yourself is to close the doors and wave a flashlight at them. As mentioned before, you can't run away, and if you lose track of one, it's game over. These mechanics, while simple on paper, do wonders to make a horror experience. Staying in one tiny office for the whole game might sound boring, but being able to use the cameras to see other places keeps you engaged enough not to notice. Though that is also a well done feature because not having many options of escape heightens the sense of danger you are currently in. By only really being able to move your head around and be in a stationary position, you can't avoid any danger by doing nothing. Not doing anything or lack of playing will result in a game over. The cameras, while making you not feel as closed off as you normally would, are also expertly added to overwhelm you. There are a lot of rooms you have to monitor and 4 main animatronics to keep track of. They are able to go into different rooms, and you have to keep track of 2 doors on your right and left. The way this is set up can be overwhelming and largely contributes to a feeling of insecurity and fear. Another factor that is memorable and overall adds to the experience is the theme of the game itself, and of course the animatronics themselves. See, the game takes place in a restaurant similar to Chuck E. Cheese, even with the same gimmick of animatronics, and this adds more to the realism of the game. You aren't exactly fighting monsters or zombies, but hiding from rogue animatronics, which provides a more realistic experience as the way it's presented is not outright terrifying. What do I mean by this? Well, it is in the name. Five Nights at Freddy's. There are 5 levels in the game, each signifying a night that slowly becomes more difficult and horrifying. Levels getting harder are nothing new, but such a simple step executed well can be very effective. So whenever you start the game and have to look around for anything weird, the animatronics move slowly. The first night is usually a cakewalk, and that's by design. By slowly exposing you to danger and these robotic husks, you are able to accept the reality of the game easier. In fact, time is easily the best thing that this game utilizes, something that horror movies, riddled with jump scares, don't use effectively. See, the scariest part of the game is not the jump scares, or the freaky designs of the suits. It is the time, the feeling of dread. Waiting can be boring, especially for people with little patience, but it can also be scary. If you know that there is something bad coming, such as a punishment or some consequence, you might experience this feeling of anticipation called dread. It is a sort of fear that comes entirely from you, overthinking, doubting, or generally just feeling anxious. This is why jump scares are so popular, but often feel cheap when there is an abundance of them. A lot of people tend to use jump scares in movies and games, thinking that the terrifying image of whatever monster or danger is the scariest part, and will terrify the audience. And while that could be true, the feeling of dread can often be more terrifying, making people scare themselves with their own self-doubt and the anxiety that comes from insecurity is something so raw and real that usually it beats a CGI monster any day. And that feeling of dread and anticipation is paid off so well in this game. Most of the game is spent waiting and doing a sort of mundane task, but by keeping it simple and the danger somewhat clear, the game gives you time to grow more and more anxious throughout the playthrough of the game. Is this something you experience as well? If you do, let me know in the comments down below. And if you wish to support the channel, please do subscribe, as the channel just hit 70 subscribers. Thank you so much for your support so far. It truly means the world. If you want me to cover any topics or certain games, let me know. Have a great day, and I hope you enjoyed the video.